you've got mail. Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next hour, along with Katie.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Spence is here.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Gal is here.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by vMix Software and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. I think Nick is not going to be with us. He's doing some political stuff or girlfriend stuff. I don't know. One of the two.
They're both important.
Yeah. Yep.
Probably the girlfriend should be at a little higher priority.
Yep. So, welcome back, Spence.
Thank you.
So you went to
We went to, it was called Iceland, Greenland. This is the tour. We stopped 2 stops in British Isles, which was nice. Excuse me a second. I need to sip.
Sip,
I thought
sip,
you
sip,
went
sip,
to
sip.
New Zealand.
That was another trip.
Oh,
We did
can't
that
keep
early.
up with them.
But this was out of Southampton in England. Stopped at Cornwall, which is in on the far west part of Great Britain, and stopped in Cork, Ireland, and then went to 2 stops in Greenland, and it was some very small towns, 3,000 in one place, 1,500 in another place, and there's a lot of other smaller towns. And Navortalik was the second place we went to, and it took me forever to actually be able to remember how to pronounce it. That name in Greenlandic is place where polar bears are. And we got a notification that morning that there was a polar mama and a baby a kilometer away sighted that morning.
Whoa.
So it was very interesting. The town, we got to tour around with some local students through the towns, how they live, what they're
Nice.
resupplied. And then we went to Iceland, and 2 of our stops were canceled because of weather.
Wow.
Horrible weather. But we only had weather when we were at sea, when we were docked, except for that one day when we were trying to go into the dock and it was raining and wind blowing so hard we couldn't get anywhere near the dock. So, but I did get a very good tour of Reykjavik, Iceland.
Very nice.
Nice. I need to one day get all your secrets for travel and do these cruises too.
Yeah, I need to do a don't do this blog.
Yeah, you should do a travel vlog. That'd be perfect. Or a travel TikTok.
That would be probably easier.
Yeah.
But one fascinating thing was the 2 towns we visited in Greenland. I said, so how's the internet here? Oh, she said, a student was telling me this now, college student. Oh, it's great. I said, well, how is it delivered? Is it transatlantic? Is it an Atlantic cable? She goes, I have no idea. But it's apparently Starlink. So
No, they I think they have underwater cables.
they
Because
probably
it seems
would
like I
think, but it's
remember.
a small town, but I would think the cable would be the best way.
I know, yeah.
This
That's
is
so
what-
crazy to me that there's miles and miles of cables that are on the ocean floor that deliver internet to different countries. That's kind of blowing my mind to think about.
There's hundreds, if not thousands, of cable.
And that's
Yeah.
not new, Katie. That's
That's
from
not new. The very first transatlantic phone cables were dropped in the mid 1880s
So
somewhere.
is it does it have to go all the way to the floor? So if it's like
Yeah.
miles
Yes.
and miles under the
Yeah.
ocean, you need miles and miles of cable?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
If you ever go to Cape Cod, go to the town of Orleans, and they have the French Cable Museum. And that's the first transatlantic telegraph cable that was laid. and you can go in there and they have all the old equipment. That was right back to the very first implementation. They used to use a mirror with a candle, and it would swing one way for a dot and one way for a dash, and it would take a couple of seconds per character, but they could send messages across the Atlantic Ocean.
That's absolutely insane.
Cool stuff.
Yep.
Now,
You
now
see
I
how
can make a phone
spoiled you
call
are?
from Europe, and you can't even tell I'm in Europe.
Yeah, I prefer living in the 21st century where things are instant. I remember when we first got internet, it was Roadrunner. Now that I think they got bought out by Time Warner Cable or something. Well, Roadrunner was the fast internet. We had dial-up before then, and I remember just to load a picture took like no joke 5 minutes, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then I begged my mom, I was like, please, we got to get Roadrunner because at the time I was in middle school, and Neopets is really popular, like online gaming websites for kids. And I couldn't even go on those sites because it just took forever to load because they're so graphics heavy. And then we got Roadrunner, and it was like boom, so fast. I mean, not as fast as today, but like instead of taking 5 minutes, it would take 30 seconds to load the whole page. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're living in the future.
It was.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
cool.
Now I get
So
375 meg, and that's what the cheapest plan on AT&T.
Yeah, now I have fiber, and it's like instantaneous. If it takes longer than like half a second, I'm like, something's wrong with my internet.
And talking about old stuff, Atari has just announced a renewed version of its 7800 home console from 1986, dubbed the 7800 Plus. The new console would launch later this winter, but is already available to pre-order from Atari for $129.99. The 7800 Plus is a scaled-down version of the original hardware, equipped with an HDMI connection, and has the ability to play first and third-party cartridges for the Atari 2600 and 7800.
That's what I was going to ask you. Will they work with the 2600
Well,
cartridge? That's incredible.
I know. Additionally, you'll have the option to play your games in their original 4:3 aspect ratio or upscale them to widescreen format, while emulators and other options for playing retro Atari games exists.
Did anybody see the
That's
documentary about the original one of the original games from Atari that was E.T.?
Yeah.
About
The
how
worst game in
the
the
worst game
history
ever
of
made.
something. Yeah, yeah.
And they confirmed that there are thousands of cartridges buried in a landfill somewhere.
oh yeah,
Yeah, it's funny. We
and
had that. It was a horrible game.
people were
Terrible.
actually going out to dig.
Dig to find them. That's right.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Like with scientific methods, with ground penetrating radar and all kinds of stuff
yep,
to try to find them. Oh well,
and nothing.
I don't know. They might have found something, but
Yeah.
it was.
I can't imagine the quality's great after years in the ground.
I guess they just wanted them. You know,
Yeah.
you could get a reproduction of it, but you wanted an original one.
Yeah, I mean, I get what they're doing, but it's like there'll probably be a small group of people who
I
will
think
buy it
there'll
for the
be a
nostalgia.
big. I think they'll.
I'm hoping they do not, mass produce this way out of proportion.
I hope
Yeah.
they do,
I gotta
because
say,
then
I did see there's a Lego kit where you build something that looks literally like the Atari console, right? And it's like a homage to it. My wish was do that, but make it work. Like make sure you have like a box in it, because all you need is a very simple box, Raspberry Pi size, right?
Mhm.
Box with an emulator on it, a licensed one like these, and for I don't know $400, right? You could sell a Lego kit of this. You tie in the nostalgia factor, right? With people who already, I mean, the people who are buying this today are people who have means, right? So if they're into that nostalgia, and that would have been great. Like you build your own Atari with a Lego kit, right? And it can actually play. That would have been awesome. But yeah, I don't know. It's like, because then you can somehow rope in the kids, and because you built it on your own, right? And then you connect it to a TV, and suddenly there's these, I mean, you look at the graphics today, you are impressing nobody, right? Only those who actually knew what it looked like. So
Yeah.
so there's gonna be a few who will buy it, will hook it to the TV probably once.
No, but it has HDMI.
Yeah, but you don't want to play it.
Well,
That's the thing. It's not pleasant to play in any way, like compared to any simple game that you have online today, right?
oh, you're talking about the original,
Yeah,
the real
and that's
thing.
what you
Yeah,
get.
yeah,
You
yeah,
you get the cartridges, right? You
yeah.
get the original gameplay. Everything compared to today, right? It's the graphics. They have nothing to them, right?
I
They're
would
very
think
blocky, very large,
I would think
and
that the graphics will still be the same quality because that's how those cartridges, the original cartridges, were
the
built.
same quality. But you compare it to gameplay today. If
No,
you're
no,
looking
I'm
at
saying
something that
if you,
moves,
I'm saying,
2 frames a second, it's
but
not something.
if you take the cartridge from back then and stick it in that new one,
Yeah, it'll work.
it'll work. I don't think the graphics will be that much better because it's still built for certain resolution. They didn't build it for
Of
uh
course.
You said in the description that it was something about upscaling.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. So they
Yeah, the
Had
could.
the
block will be
option to
sharper,
turn
but
on.
it's still
Yeah.
a very large block on the TV.
Yeah.
Remember, screens were smaller,
Oh, yeah.
right? Just YouTube Atari games, and you'll see that.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm talking about. They are a phenomenal nostalgia. They have phenomenal nostalgia value, no doubt about it. They started, right, what we know today as video games, but they're today they are in no competition or anything that exists. So yeah.
Yeah. Spins. I can't remember if it was when you joined the show or it was still with Larry. Remember AnandTech that we were talking about AnandTech that we were going to have him join the crew on Computers 2K now. It's when it started. Do
I
you
think
remember that?
so. Yeah. What was the guy's name?
I can't remember. Um,
Who was the lawyer that was on every once in a while?
Anand Lal Shimpi. So anyway,
What?
AnandTech, a pioneering technology news website, is shutting down after 27 years on August 30th, 2024. Founded in 1997 by Anand Lal Shimpi, the site earned a reputation for its depth, hardware reviews, and technical analysis. In a final post on the site, AnandTech editor-in-chief Ryan Smith cited changing market dynamics for written tech journalism as the primary reason for closure. The site, 21,500 articles, will remain accessible indefinitely, hosted by publisher Future PLC. AnandTech forums will continue operating under Futures management. In the beginning, I mean, and it was here. He's here in Raleigh. I don't know if he's still in Raleigh, but he started here in Raleigh at his house, and it was very, very interesting. in the beginning when he started. So he started 1, 2, 3, 4 years after we started the show.
I remember. I don't remember. Did he ever? Did he ever actually come on the show?
No.
Yeah.
Nope. There was no way to. I don't know if. I mean, he still had people in the front. Kind of. I mean, we probably didn't talk until a few years later. I mean, tried to email him, but AnandTech was a good.
It was a great site
Yep.
for detailed information. You could
Yep.
ask a question, search. If you have a question today about autoexec.bat, you can go there and get
Yep.
detailed
It was
information.
good. It was all kind of good stuff there.
Who was the guy that was the author that was on one time who wrote the book about IPTV way before it was implemented? He
Sheesh.
was writing books about like, 1,000 1000s in Scotland, something like that. He gave us one of his books. I don't think it ever went anywhere. It's self-published, but he wrote like the guide to IPTV. And this was back in the 90s.
Seems like I remember the book, but I don't remember the
It was
writer.
like 8.5 by 11 paper, like a kind of like a manual. It wasn't really a book. The
Huh.
book itself, I had it for a long time and I never read it, and I finally donated it. But that guy was an interesting person. He was on a couple of times.
Yeah, there were some real writers back then.
I
Real
think I still have.
authors.
I think I still have that IP thing,
Huh?
IPTV thing. I might have to look. I might have kept it for nostalgia's sake. It'd be interesting to go in and see about stuff that was being talked about that back then, how it adapted and evolved, and any of it is still relevant.
Hmm.
So I'll look.
Well, millions of Australians just got official permission to ignore their bosses outside of working hours,
I saw this.
thanks to a new law enshrining their right to disconnect. The law doesn't strictly prohibit employers from calling or messaging their workers after hours, but it does protect employees who refuse to monitor, read, or respond to contact or attempted contact outside the working hours, unless the refusal is unreasonable.
Well, what if it's in their
I
contract
don't-
to be available 24/7?
Then
Right.
that doesn't track. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But I think the purpose, what will happen with this law is not that those who will ignore, right?
Yeah.
They'll probably get reprimanded. But what it will do, it will enshrine in the contracts uh, the terms, and that will allow employees to negotiate on that term. That means, okay, you want me to be available 24/7, then you pay for my phone, right? Stuff like that. So I'm guessing that's the result of the law. Anyway, that's what I've seen personally happen, right? In job offers that include the idea of availability in the terms of the contract, then that also means, yeah, sure, then you cover everything that has to do with that, and I will be available from this to this. I do not, right? I'm not going to wake in the middle of the night for it, but if there's it makes
Emergency.
things clearer in a way. Yeah, I don't think it's going to make a lot anything better, right? And it won't, but I do think it's important that it's discussed. It's
Which
yeah,
it shines the light on it because some people are being abused. And
yeah. Remember regulation, right?
Yeah.
Regulation starts when there's a wound festering. So
when I became a salaried employee the very first time at IBM, the expectation was that if I was needed on the weekends, they used to have we used to be have emergency call outs. But before I was salaried, you were salaried, but you got it overtime. It was kind of a weird thing. But when I went full salary as a manager, the expectation was that if something happened, you were going to be available. It didn't happen much, which was good. You didn't abuse it. But yeah, I mean, I remember being called into an office on Friday afternoon and say, you will have this presentation by Monday, and then having to work on it all weekend.
And you did.
I did.
Yep.
Not that often. And travel too. You were always expected to travel. You didn't get anything extra for traveling.
And talking about IBM, IBM is the latest American company to downsize its presence in China amid heightened tensions between Washington and Beijing. So they are getting ready. I don't know if they'll leave ever, but they're getting ready to really cut down.
Have you read any articles about the financial situation in China now? It's really not
No.
good. They've just closed now. Why that says the government closed 1,000 restaurants? The article that I read said it was because people who were used to going out to eat now, because their economy is so bad, are choosing to eat at home and they're going back to delivery or just shopping for their own food.
Wow.
But a lot of these startup small noodle shops and that are said over 1,000 of them have been closed because of no demand. So there's a lot going on. Their numbers. It's always hard to read any numbers from China as to whether they're realistic.
Yeah,
or not.
they lie.
Yeah, but the pointers that they have show not good future. Their expansions have stopped as far as building, and that their real estate crisis has finally come around to bite them with all the
Yeah.
housing that they built that nobody's in.
Oh well. Microsoft has retracted or clarified its statement regarding the deprecation of Windows Control Panel. According to changes made to a support document, the original text, which stated that the control panel was in a process of being deprecated in favor of the Settings app, has been revised. The new version now indicates that many of the settings in Control Panel are in the process of being migrated to the Settings app. The modification came after widespread media coverage of the initial announcement. It remains unclear whether this change reflects a shift in Windows and Microsoft's plans or a correction of an erroneous statement. Gael, what do you think?
Isn't that what I said?
Yep. Yep. And there
So
you go.
At least I read the map correct.
Mhm. Yep.
That means
I do
they're
it.
going to
I
get
do
rid
it
of.
once in 1,000 times, right? So
No, you
it's
do
fine.
it more often.
They're getting rid of all their Visual Basic support people.
The what?
The Visual Basic support people.
Oh,
Or all the stuff when you go in, even on Windows 10, you go in and open something and it's like, oh, that's the same screen I remember from Windows 7.
who didn't buy something from Ikea? Ah.
Ikea.
When?
Well, I mean, in general.
What's a Ikea? Like Kia, the
IKEA.
car?
Oh, come
Oh,
on.
IKEA. Oh
You-
yeah, I have stuff from IKEA.
Yeah. How do you say it?
IKEA.
IKEA.
That's
I.
how the American says. IKEA, they say it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, IKEA
That's how it's called.
is taking the likes of eBay, Craigslist, and Gumtree, which I never heard of Gumtree,
I've heard of Gumroad.
with a peer-to-peer marketplace for customers to sell secondhand furniture to each other. IKEA pre-owned will be tested in Madrid and Oslo until the end of the year, with the aim of rolling out the buying and selling platform globally, according to Jesper Broden, chief executive of Inca, the main operator of IKEA stores. IKEA has had a small offering under which it buys used furniture from customers and resells it in store. But the new platform is more ambitious, aiming to tackle the secondhand market for customers selling directly to each other, an area where Broden estimates IKEA has a higher market share than a new furniture sales.
Tell you
Customer,
something.
huh?
Oh, I was going to say, I can tell you something they're going to have to work on is telling people how to disassemble their furniture so they can sell it.
Customers enter their product, enter and their pictures, and a selling price, while IKEA's own artificial intelligence enabled database brings in its own promotional images and measurements. The buyer collects the furniture directly from the seller, who has the option of receiving money or a voucher from IKEA with a 15% bonus.
Well, that's for starters.
Yeah,
I mean, it's an interesting notion. Most manufacturers know that they are losing on the secondhand market, right?
sure.
But it's like I cannot see how this is going to end well.
I tell you how. I'll bet you that that's what's going to happen. They will use it for a few months, and then they'll add other categories that they're going to sell. And they're going to sell, okay, you know what? Yeah, we're also going to sell, we're going to let you sell used cars. And we're also going to let you, so
That's
it's going to
thing. I
turn.
mean, yeah, but that's an assumption that this will actually work. There is no reason in hell for somebody who is looking for second-hand IKEA furniture, right? This is for IKEA. So, what's the purpose? Okay, the purpose isn't to be nice to anybody who wants to sell second-hand IKEA furniture. The purpose is for IKEA to understand the second-hand market in order to market better for them, right?
Okay.
Gauge what the price points are, right, and how far they are from the new products. The only thing that this works for IKEA, right, is by eventually reducing prices on their new products, but that also means reducing quality, right? Because that's the only way they will be able to do it. So this is about allowing IKEA to market research how to screw their customers. There is no, I do not see any other way here, right? This is not about, I somehow feel
That,
with Amazon, right? What we saw is at the beginning, Amazon was the only one selling on their platform, right? And then they opened up the platform for third-party suppliers. And at the beginning, it looked like a very good idea. And what happened as Amazon grew, right? The suppliers, they were, and it's still the case, they are always getting second place, right? Amazon knows how to build whatever the supplier is doing, right? And sell it from a better position. And so any brand or any item that Amazon decides to sell will overperform on any other competitor.
well,
And what happened was, right, the competitor basically provided Amazon the market research about that before Amazon stepped in. This is what's probably going to happen here, right? It'll start with IKEA furniture, and then it'll expand to items that are not, as you said, not from IKEA. I don't know if it'll be used cars, but it probably start with
Well,
furniture by others, right? Like a Chinese manufacturer or another European-based manufacturer or a US-based manufacturer. Sounds like also they're focusing on the European market right now, right? So it'll probably allow Spanish furniture makers, Italian furniture makers to include there. What will happen is IKEA is going to collect all the data, right? That's
I'm
what's
gonna tell
going to
you what's gonna happen. It's gonna shut down because there is no. This is all advantages for IKEA. There's no advantages to the customer. People aren't gonna use this IKEA website if they already have successful alternatives like Facebook Marketplace, right? So like as a consumer, I use Facebook Marketplace and there's IKEA furniture all the time. So it's like really easy just to upload stuff, sell it, and whatever. People have become comfortable with Facebook Marketplace. What is the advantage to switching to
Well,
IKEA's website? And yeah, but like a
we do
15%
not
off
know.
coupon.
Yeah, but we do not know the advantage if Facebook Marketplace has the advantage in the European market. Might
I
not be.
maybe, but
Yeah.
I think some of the blogs and stuff I watch, granted they're from the UK, but they talk about getting stuff on Facebook Marketplace too. So Uh, I don't know. Well, so strictly speaking, from a U.S. marketplace, I don't see an advantage for IKEA switch as a consumer switching to an IKEA website. Another thing that something like Facebook Marketplace affords or is an advantage of over this IKEA thing is uh already established community of friends and family. So it's one of those things where like if somebody wants to buy something, I can see their profile. I can see when they've posted to see if they're a scam bot or whatever. Like they having that Facebook profile makes it easier for me to suss out if this person is real or not. I don't would IKEA like is IKEA's marketplace going to get run by spam bots and it's not going to have the history of a Facebook profile to like double check to see if that person is a bot or not. So I don't know. I think they might be approaching this from the perspective of all the benefits that the company is going to get by doing this, but as a consumer, there's no benefits for me using it.
just being associated with that's the advantage.
Yeah,
Yeah, associated
that's
with
the feeling I get
IKEA.
as well.
Oh,
I think they're approaching this the wrong way. You always approach it from, is this something that the marketplace needs? Like, is this something that the consumer wants? And all the answers to me are no.
oh. Um, I never heard of Pidgin, Pidgin.
Yeah. A notification service, if I remember correctly.
It's a messaging app.
Yeah.
So the Pidgin messaging app removed the screen share OTR. They have apparently a screen share plugin from its third-party plugin list after it was found to be used to install keyloggers, information stealers, and malware targeting corporate network.
You're talking about Pidgin, right? Pidgin?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was an open source IRC ICQ alternative. That's how it started.
Well, I guess
It's yeah.
it's still there as a messaging
Yeah.
app.
Yeah, it does like multi protocol messaging.
Huh.
So it had a plugin that was abused.
Yeah. The screen
Yeah.
share OTR, whatever that is.
Well, sounds like some sort of remote control. Yeah. By the way, technology-wise, remote control. I've been. This is for Android users because I know with iOS it's a lot more restricted. But one of the things that is hard to do on your own hardware. I'm not talking about helping others. Helping others, the way these systems work today, they're great. As long as the other party is there, available to approve the access and all. But when you're talking about unattended access, whether it's to PC or to an Android phone, there's always blocks of security built into the OS today to prevent such things. First of all, the most interesting thing about remote control clients that are available for free is whenever you go to download them, the page will have a huge notice of, are you being scammed, right? So because the amount of scamming is going on. The OS in Android, and I'm guessing it'll be the same in iOS, has blocks all the way that the user must approve in order, in the workflow, in order to notify them you are doing something that might be very dangerous, right? The thing is, bypassing it can be a pain. So I have a phone that its whole purpose is to receive texts from it has an Israeli SIM in it, and its whole purpose is to receive text from Israeli services that I need to log in, and the only way for them to authenticate is to send an SMS text with a code, right? So I have a phone at home. It's connected to a charger, and it just listens. And whenever a text comes in, there's some automation, and it relays it via email to me and my wife. So we have an Israeli number in order to authenticate on services there. The problem is, from time to time, I need to access it, and I put it in such a position that reaching out and just opening it, it's a chore. I need to reach out and stuff. I was looking into remote control, and was thinking about this. I also, from time to time, do remote access help to my family back in Israel. My mom, my dad, my sister. They need something. Our kids, they need some help. They're using Android. When you do unattended, there's always a screen that the OS shows and says, please approve start streaming your screen remote. And that part, the application can't override. There's no way for it to override. However, there is a way of doing that. And if any of our listeners are interested, then it's doing it through the ADB shell. ADB shell is the Android debugging bus, Android data bus. It's basically a small application from the development kit that once you hook up your device via USB to a computer, a Linux, Mac, or Windows computer, then you can actually shell in, and there are some commands that you can run from that shell. Those commands cannot be run from the machine itself, from the device itself. It always needs to connect through it. So there are ways of disabling that, and I literally just discovered it yesterday. The best remote access tool today for over the network connection is Rust Desk, which is an open source project. There are TeamViewers and AnyDesk. They're very well known. They're very established, and they're pretty good at what they do. But Rust Desk is probably today the most advanced connection option, and tied together with ADB shell, you can get unattended access. So something I would recommend if anybody has that need.
Why would you want unattended when you're helping somebody and they're there?
So for me specifically, it's true that they are there. It might be they sent me a message that they need help, and they might be already asleep, and I can help out. It's like for people that are really close by. And for my specific issue, where that phone is just physically not comfortably reachable, right? I want to be able to control it whenever I need. So
So you can put it in the
that's
attic.
why I need unattended access for Android.
You
Right?
can put your phone in the attic.
Yeah. So theoretically, yeah. No, yeah. This
Yeah,
is this is
I
exactly
understand.
the spot. It's not in the attic. It's in the
Yeah,
back of some
yeah.
cupboard. But yeah.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. So
So
definitely
what is it
exists, and
called
it's
again?
terrific. And it's terrific for Windows and Mac and Linux screen sharing as well. So just know Rust Desk is probably today the best option. And if you're concerned about the fact that you're using somebody else's service, because even like AnyDesk and TeamViewer, Rust Desk out of the box uses their own centralized server to coordinate the connection, where you have like an ID number that you type in, and that server coordinates those IDs. It's called a relay server. Because it's a completely open source project, you can run your own server and just point the clients there, and then you're completely disconnected from any third party, right? So that's I think that is what is really nice about uh, a system like that is
Hmm,
you will have complete control over everything if that's a concern, right?
nice.
Yep.
Good. Thanks for the info. All right, a new AI model is being developed by Google. Could make diagnosing tuberculosis and other respiratory ailments as easy as recording a voice note. Google is training one of its found, foundational AI models to listen for sign of disease using sound signals like coughing, sneezing, sniffling. This technology, which would work using people's smartphones' microphones, that's the important part here, could revolutionize diagnosis for communities where advanced diagnostic tools are difficult to come by. So it doesn't say here that you would start the uh, app.
But it doesn't say the most important part.
No. I'm saying the
It
most important part here is they're talking. I'm wondering if they're going to make the phone listen to you all
No,
the
no, no,
time.
no. So here's the part that I'm missing from this entire. So the most important part here
Yeah,
is not that they're making a new AI, okay?
right.
Because that's a tool,
Yeah,
and
it's
it's not even a scary tool. The article actually tries to make it sound, or at least the way you read it makes
yeah.
it sound a bit scary. What I'm missing is, okay, what research is it based on? Because if it's based on some research, right? And then this sounds like a phenomenal tool. And the fact that you can run it through a cell phone microphone, a cell phone's microphone, right, means that even if the AI is sitting in the cloud and analyzing the data, right, it means that if you have a doctor that is in the field and needs to diagnose you quickly, right, they get a tool that is very, very effective, and
No,
that's
no.
phenomenal.
I agree.
Yeah.
The only
And
thing
I
that
doubt they're going to tie it into whatever is listening all the time. Like,
uh,
that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense in any way, not in a good way and not in an evil way. It just doesn't make sense, right? It's useless. So,
uh,
especially if look, it's different than a general large language model in the terms that it might require, right, quite a lot of intensive CPU processing,
mhm.
and so that's why it won't make sense. Okay, I just want to listen to everyone and see if they're sick, and then I'll sell them. Like, that's what's running through people's mind, right? I'll listen if they're sick, and I'll sell them medicine or whatever, right? No, that's not the idea. The idea here is to create a tool, a diagnostic tool, and I think
If it
that's
only uses the mic when you start the app and you try to get to say, "Hey, doc, listen to me. Am I okay?" That's fine. But if it's there all the time, and when you're working and you're coughing or you're sneezing, and it sends those no those sounds, hey, It can listen to a lot of other stuff. That's my
Amnon, did you know, right? There's a tool used by doctors for about 300 years at least, right? And it listens all the time.
yeah,
A stethoscope never stops listening.
right.
Never.
That's true.
That's the point,
Well,
right?
that
That's my point.
if it's gonna be used on you as a stethoscope, it's fine. It's great.
But that's what I mean. It's like these are diagnostic tools,
Yeah.
right? The fact that they're connected to a Microsoft doesn't make them sinister.
Okay.
I will complain, right, when that practice becomes bad practice.
We'll
And
see.
up until now, other than conspiracy theories, right, that hasn't panned out. That's my point.
Okay. No, I'm fine with that. Absolutely. All right. An anti-piracy coalition comprised of major studios in the US and across the globe is claiming victory against F movies.
F movies.
F
What is that?
as in
I think it's
Frank.
a website.
A
I think it was a
It's
website.
a significant streaming operation based in Vietnam. On Thursday, the Alliance for Creative and Entertainment revealed that it had worked with Hanoi police to shutter F movies and affiliated sites, which together made up the largest pirate streaming operation in the world, according to the organization, with sites including BFlixZ, BFlix, Flick Stores, Movies 7, My Flixer, and Anywave, in addition to F movies. The operation attracted more than 6.7 billion visits between January 23 and June 24. So it's a big uh,
So
piracy
yeah,
operation.
that's a good point. Piracy is something I'm always interested in because I'm
Yeah.
interested in one, the effect it has monetary on the companies themselves
Right.
who eventually sue, right? And it's also on the part of there are a lot of different types of people who consume pirated content,
Mhm.
right? And the term piracy itself, right, is somehow always roped into this because digital piracy has nothing to do with the pirates of the Caribbean of the 1800s, right? Because the goods that are taken here, right, they are never removed from the owner.
Right.
What is infringed on, right, are rights for financial gain, which is different than I am taking your possession. So the philosophy of digital piracy is complex. It's complex on the side of those who take and those who take from those who take, right? Because there's always because I think that's key, right? Piracy is defined by those who distribute to others instead of whoever is really allowed to distribute, right? That's where at least I think corporations figured out that's who they should tackle. They shouldn't tackle grandma for clicking a link on something that she shouldn't have and watched it,
Right.
right? They should tackle and this is the guy who will wear the pirate hat, the guy who made it easy for grandma to get
Mhm.
it. Okay, so that's at least something that has been established because if you remember, right, the beginning of this where
A grandma was sued.
it started with pirated software, right? Because digitally
Yeah.
passing information was slow and terrible. You talked about Roadrunner before, right? So with Napster, right? You
Mhm.
got Metallica suing people, their fans, right, for loving them but not being able to afford it and figuring out, oh, I can download it somehow, right? And later that became a lawsuit against Napster, which was the technology creator who said who allowed that, right? And later the evolution today is they don't even sue whoever creates the technology, right? Most of the time they figure out, okay, there's always a legitimate use to any of that, and that wins in court, right? And so they target those who distribute, and that's the sweet spot, because I think that's where courts are with them. Still, the only thing that is being stolen here, right, is potential, because they can't prove that otherwise there'll be sales. There's no way for them to actually prove that. So
Well, I
the
always
biggest mistake of these pirates, right, and the reason they will go down, is that because they grow too big. You said billions of
yeah,
views, right?
6.7 billion.
They shot themselves in the foot. They know they're doing something wrong. They can't get away from it if they're not playing the real game,
Mhm.
where, right? Everything is a pyramid scheme, right? Everything in the world, right? There's always somebody who's managing things at top and allowing the ones below it to run. That's why we have police. That's why we have, uh, uh, law enforcement, right? It's because there needs to be this one set of rules that everybody plays with, and they need to mesh together. And if you start creating a new set of rules, then eventually there's some sort of battle and somebody wins, right? Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, they lost. They
Speaking
lost.
of
What,
speaking
Katie?
of a lot of the pirate sites going down or whatever, I saw last week that a lot of the anime sites were taken down too. And
I think that's the same thing.
oh,
I
is
think
it?
F movies and all that. It's like from the same ring of it. Yeah.
Okay, because that's what was showing on my TikTok page or whatever. And what was interesting is that one of the owners of the sites like wrote a letter, and they're like, "Yep, we got to shut down. Oh well, sail the pirate life. Bye guys."
Um,
That's a good thing if they can shut down and leave, because that's usually not what happens.
right. They pursue them. What is
Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank. What is that software that you draw like for engineers to design things?
AutoCAD.
AutoCAD.
You mean Visio? Oh,
No,
AutoCAD. Okay, yeah.
AutoCAD. AutoCAD in the early days knew that a lot of people were using it without paying for it. So they were
I think
downloading
I
it.
think that's true until today, even today. Like
And
professionals still use it without paying.
well, the idea was that it was $2,500 back then.
It's still over
The
3,000, I think,
yeah,
for a
the
license, and of course there's
other
subscriptions
yeah.
today. Sorry. Yeah.
So the idea was the people that are downloading it and maybe using it and probably are not really using it, just playing with it, will never buy it. But these are people that may be working for companies that will need it, and they will go and say, "Hey, boss, there's this one," because the company would not use a pirated piece of software. I mean, you can lose the company. A pirated company can be wiped. So that was the it that was what the idea was, not not from them, but people. I mean, it became a reason or an explanation why nobody's ever doing anything, because they know who and what.
But they did. So what they did, I can't say from what in the U.S. market, right? Because I I wasn't aware at the
Yeah.
time. But my dad, uh, an architect, right? During the 80s and 90s, and I worked with him as a teenager.
Mhm.
You know, I'm the one who learned how to operate these software, the architectural software, and used to draw for him until he hired somebody to do it professionally for him. So he'll understand the potential and understand how to use it and all that. And AutoCAD was always this. They are still in a way leading the market,
But wait a
even though
second.
it's not necessarily.
Did he use AutoCAD in his practice?
So when he was looking on using AutoCAD was way out of the
Okay.
price range that he could afford.
Yeah.
It was more than paying, right? It was more than paying a salary and a half or something for somebody to do the work
With
manually.
with other tools.
At that point, it was competing with manual, right?
Yeah.
Not other digital. But there were other developers creating software that
Yeah.
provided what you needed in a much cheaper way, right? That doesn't mean that you didn't need AutoCAD, because people would still interact with the AutoCAD format.
Huh.
So even if you did need, there was an interchangeable format, like a standard that all of the applications worked with. And of course, there were compatibility issues, like we see with, I don't know, word processors. But the thing is, even if you were not working with AutoCAD, you still had access to a pirated copy somewhere. In Israel specifically, the distributor that did the work for Israel, AutoCAD added for them a licensing fob
Yeah.
mechanism. You know, one.
That's right.
It
There
started
was
with those parallel ports that you would
Yep,
put
yep.
in,
Game
and
port.
then USB, right? Today there are licensing servers, so that still is. And pirates, what they do, they always find a way to bypass it, right? So you can still get pirated copies of AutoCAD, and you just need to find a way to bypass that. I can tell you for sure there are professionals who use AutoCAD, actually use it, and they're using a pirated copy, and they are risking their business for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the reason they are risking the business is because that is what AutoCAD does. In Israel, it wasn't them specifically. It was called the BSM, something like that. Something about business software,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like a coalition.
Right.
Basically, have lawyer on retainers, right? Lawyers on retainer, and they would have a snitch line, and they would pursue businesses with warrants after anonymous tips and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
and they will do raids, and a business can go out of business because of that.
Absolutely.
And it was common practice enough in a lot of businesses that this helped them align the industry, right, to, hey, pay your license,
Mm-hmm.
okay? But that that was correct of them to do it, pursuing other businesses, even if it's a single person doing some.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do business, then you need to do the business legit, right?
Right.
If you want to get money, you need to pay the IRS. The pyramid scheme always works somehow, and there's always somebody stronger above you, and you need to pay up.
Yep.
And yeah, and so that's the other part of piracy, right? Piracy, it can be uh, uh, ideological, right? I don't want to pay that. He's already stealing from me, right? But you need to be smart about it. You can't grow too much.
Yep.
Because the moment you grow,
That's true too. Yep.
then you are an easy target, right?
Yep.
So
Yep. Apple users, listen to that. You were not needing any antivirus, anti-malware till lately. Now you start needing them because back then you were not a target. It was not big enough target for the bad guys to work on. Today they are saying, well, yeah, but with that came also the vulnerability of Linux because
Yeah,
the
but somehow, even in Linux, the vulnerabilities that are discovered,
Mhm.
right? Um, I think the way they are dealt with is so much better than
so
any
oh,
vulnerability that we've seen in any of the
absolutely,
closed
yeah,
world, right?
yeah,
So, you know,
yeah. All right,
I have one question before we go.
go ahead.
And uh, has anybody been following this Change Healthcare breach?
I got
Change
a
healthcare.
letter that,
I got it too.
yeah, and I don't.
And it was curious because I was reading through it and it almost seemed like, well, this sounds like it wasn't written by a lawyer. And that started to alert me that say that the wording of this is not like any others that I've seen. It was almost like kind of folksy the way they were talking about. But I did go and check to see, and it's absolutely real and it's huge. And it's the reason why we've had so much trouble with United Healthcare and other places.
Mm-hmm.
And they've traced it back to, well, Russia's always seems to be the bad guys, but whatever it is, they're claiming that it's from a Russian-based.
Yeah.
I am
Uh,
guessing that on the Russian media side, right, they are always hearing about American hackers,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
Because if there's one place in the world where you would want to operate to hurt Russians, that would be America, right? And
Yep.
if there's one place in the world you want to operate to hurt Americans, that will be either Russia, China, or India, right? Like large countries with a lot of power that have no clear extradition relationships, right? So,
Oh well.
Well, I guess my question is that I have had a lock on my credit with all the credit reporting agencies for a long time. I keep that. I use that,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have a identity theft protection.
I thought they offered it.
No, they are, but I mean I have it now with these companies for free. But
Yeah.
I'm thinking about going with my own, and um, I always heard about the debate between the one that Dave Ramsey recommends, which is Xander Insurance, and how Mike Phillips would always recommend that because it was cheaper and more comprehensive. Then what's the other big one again? The other identity
but
theft company?
what
Yeah,
can they do other than the fact, like, other than what you're doing in locking the
credit
identity?
down.
They can
Well,
do more.
What can they do?
well, here, let me tell you what they say they can do. They can do Social Security number monitoring, uh, data breach updates, lost wallet service, um, home title fraud, uh, dark web monitoring. Did I say that already? Um, so it's I've always walked away from that when I thought about getting because I don't really need
Get close. Get
that. And
close. Don't sit back. We
so,
cannot hear you good.
well, so I'm thinking now I'm probably going to go with this just
Uh,
because if I get a 1 year free with this one and
yeah.
2 years free with that one, and it's like, what's next? So if I
I
actually
always
have
feel
one,
like, sorry, I
I
always
know,
feel like these services, they're just the next breach that's going to happen. Like that's my fear.
yeah,
I think we are specifically us here, right? We are well educated. I don't think we are doing anything they are doing for us. Like we aren't. We're doing all of that. We understand that. We track the news. We understand where the breaches are. Uh, uh, I don't think they are going to unveil or protect me from anything that I will not identify first and do something about it
well,
No,
first.
no, they
what alarmed me about this one is they got your insurance company IDs. They have my Medicare number. They have my Social Security number. They have all this stuff, and I don't know if these
Spence.
other agencies are going to be watching out for my. They're telling me I need to go and regularly check all my account statements, and then to report it to law enforcement, if they see an irregularity on my
Yeah.
health insurance, well, every one of my health insurance statements is gobbledygook. So how would I know something's wrong?
Spence,
So
I
it's
got
things like that.
I got that free offer from AT&T a few months ago
I
when
did sign up for it already. Yeah.
so all I'm getting from uh Experian is your phone number was found on the dark web. Okay.
Well, that's pretty
And
easy.
I already know that they have your social security was found on the dark web. Okay. What I mean, once it's out
Exactly.
there, there's nothing that you can really do. The only thing that they are talking about is that they have so many $1 million insurance that if they cannot straighten out, which I mean, you can't go and just wipe out Amnon
Well,
Nissan
no, I'm
Social
not expecting
Security
that.
from
But
anywhere.
what I like about it is they're looking for my social security number. They're looking for my Medicare number.
Yeah, that's
That's
Yeah,
the
that.
but
part.
that also
But
means this is
they have to
another
have it.
service you're
Has it?
going to need to give them to,
Yes.
Yeah,
right? You're being tracked even more by a system that will eventually be hacked. That's my position here.
it was
Why
already.
why
What was the
I've never
company?
registered. I've got a lot of letters of you get free protection. I've never registered to any single one of them
Do you have credit
because
box on all your
yeah,
3
exactly.
companies? Yeah.
That's what you need. That's
Yeah, I
enough.
mean that's it.
That's the only thing you can change, right? Is your social security number. So that's locked, right? And I open, and it's always a chore to open the locks when you need to evaluate something. But yeah, that's the only inconvenience. And I think that's the right way, and that's free, and that's in your control and free,
Hmm.
right? Both.
Yeah,
So
I tell you here. You want about locking? When you want to get a new credit card, you have to unlock. And I
yeah, and they don't even
learned,
know tell you which one.
and I no, I learned to
Yes.
ask, and you ask them which one do you use,
Yeah.
and most of them use Experian. Others say we don't know. So Home Depot, when we were going to buy that refrigerator from them, uh, I wanted to open a Home Depot credit card and just pay it with that because they would give you 12
Discount.
months
Yeah.
free, whatever. So I was telling him, I said, yeah, but my credit report
Or
is locked. He said, well, let's try. So he filled up all the information. It came back. He says, no, sorry, we can't give you credit. They don't say why.
yeah, they don't know. They don't know that it's because it's locked.
Right. So
So
the next,
the store they don't know. Yeah.
right.
You'll get something in the mail.
So then they said, you'll get something in the mail. We'll explain to you why. So I said, I know why. I told you it's locked. So I said, let me go home and unlock it. So I went home, unlocked, came back. He tried again. Sorry, we cannot give you credit because you already applied and it was turned down. Our credit score went from 821 to 790 something.
Ooh.
And there was no reason, any other reason other than this that I can think of.
Hold on.
And
If it's locked,
yeah,
why did it drop?
I don't know. Maybe they know that you were doing
Doesn't
it and
matter.
it
A
was.
ping against
No,
it shouldn't
wait a
affect
second.
it if it's locked.
Wait a second. The second time it was not locked. I unlocked it, went in. He went through the whole thing
Locked
over.
it, went in, and
So,
didn't get it.
and I didn't get it.
I think each application
But
is
I
a separate
think
entity.
that was because Home Depot said, "Oh, he already applied and he got turned down by
Rejected.
us." So never
Yeah, but
mind.
that sounds like they're exposing themselves to a lawsuit.
Well, you see, that's the thing. So I'm I only unlocked it for a day.
Yeah.
And it was fine. I went home and locked it anyway, and it's fine. I mean, it look. At my age,
No,
700 and
it's
something,
all
800 and something, doesn't make much difference. It's still up
none of it
there.
is a big deal. It was just weird. That's all.
Yeah, I know. It was very weird. I'm saying, what dummies? They have to know this because, I mean, somebody like me, okay, I don't care. But there are some people who are really working hard to bring their credit score up to a point where they can get credit. If they do it and they get knocked down, they just lost because of that person there that doesn't understand.
Yep.
Ah, I
Yeah,
don't
there
know.
should not be a ding against your credit when it's
Well,
blocked because you blocked it.
I don't do anything with credit other than pay it every month with the credit cards. So
Why, Amnon? This is the time to to get a new mortgage.
yeah, I know. It's a perfect time to get a new mortgage.
Pay off all those bills by pulling all the equity out of your house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Refinance your short-term debt into 30 years.
A reverse mortgage. Yeah, reverse mortgage. Yeah,
Yeah.
good. Go for it.
Yep.
What do you have to lose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
If the housing prices drop, then you'll really be screwed because you'll be underwater. Can't sell your house.
I will not be underwater ever. I'm on a high spot here.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
The other day I was driving and I saw the cell tower from Jones Franken. And I said, oh, yeah, that's good. They always put it on a high spot. So
It's
we're
your
we're in a
lightning rod.
good space. We're in a good spot.
I've had houses all around me well, I shouldn't say all around me, to one specific direction. Two houses, one is 100 yards from me, one is about 200 yards from me. Both were hit by lightning and caught fire
Oof.
over the years.
Oh,
They're higher than you.
They're higher than me.
That's good. Their problem.
But one time I was in my garage when the house closest to me got hit.
Alan
Oh boy.
is
I talk about jumping out of my skin.
Alan
I
is
think yeah, I think you're I remember you telling us about
Talking
it.
about that one, yeah. We met the people who live in that house like all these years later, just through a town function. We met them. Oh, where do you live? And he said, oh, was your house the one that was hit by lightning? Yeah. Oh,
Alan in the chat is asking what is the highest credit score that can be actually achieved?
100 or 870,
It's
something like that.
yeah, 8 something now.
850. But I mean, I don't know
850.
that you can achieve it. I think there's always something. So that's why
But
he
you're gonna
said
you're gonna
actually.
try. You're gonna try.
Well,
Keep trying. Yeah, I did that mistake when I applied for the Costco credit card because I only had one regular credit card and one
mhm.
debit card. And I said, when I travel, because my card was compromised, I got the Costco card and I forgot to take the freeze off and I applied.
Oh,
It was no big deal. It was just literally 10 minutes later, if I cleared it and got back on the phone with them, it was okay.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Every time I need to open it, I just open it for one day. You don't need more than that. 'Cause
Well, it depends, right? There are 4 services, there are 3 major ones, right? And the three out of the 3 major ones, 2 of them actually have an app that makes it rather easy to
Yeah.
lock and unlock.
Well, I do it on the computer.
And one of them actually asks you how much the lock time
All
is
of
going to
them
be.
ask you now.
And that's new. Then since
Yeah,
the last
because
time I
when
did
I
it.
came
that's
home
Yeah.
to unlock, each and every one was saying from when to when. And you just pick when to start, when to end. Yeah.
And the thing is, they try to trick you
To
whichever
buy
way
all
to
kind of
to
stuff.
buy
to
all their
buy the
extra stuff. Yeah.
subscription until you find, because it's not a freeze, it's a lock, and it's they have like different terminology, and it's all about. So yeah, navigating these is important to understand all of the nuances, but know that you'll need to access through a browser on one of them. The other 2, they have an app, but it's hidden inside the app and all that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, credit to North Carolina, because when it wasn't federal law, they were one of the first states to actually give you the opportunity to get a free credit
yeah.
check and free lock.
Yep.
So even it was hard to do because it was through a special portal with each of the different companies, but you could do it.
Now, in all honesty, Gal, what I'm talking about is a freeze.
I know. It's
But
I
there
think
is
it's
a
called a
difference
lock and not a
between.
freeze.
Yeah, there is a difference between them. I mean,
Yeah,
I
the
was
difference is their own terminology about whether you're part of subscription or not.
okay. Oh,
Yeah. And the difference would be is if you are on the subscription, then it'll be on the front page with a huge button. And if not, then you need to like go through like 3 or 4 clicks and make sure you answer no, and
right.
then you get to the right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the difference,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Here's another interesting question. If you sign up for more than one credit monitoring offer from a breach, how do they feel about each other?
They actually today they have links on their reports to the other, and it always points to a page on the other says, yeah, you can get
That's
it
good
for
because I was
if you pay a
thinking
fee.
that their scan might look as an intrusion to the other company. So that would be interesting.
No,
I'm glad.
no,
No, I'm
no.
saying that looks like they fixed it because I was concerned about that too. What if I have more than one monitoring service?
Yeah, no.
All right.
Yeah, interesting.
Katie,
Alrighty.
anything you want to add to this discussion?
Nah, I'm good.
Good.
Sunday brain slows.
Good. Okay. Well, it's time for us to end the show. Anything else, Gal, Spence?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well, thanks, Spence. Thanks, Katie. Thanks, Gal. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Dana, Dina, Mati, Eleanor, Sarid, Yaakov, and Yael. Thank you for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something for our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. And don't forget to change any same password where you use them. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. And since Nick is not here, just wanted you to know that Nick and Brian do the Infection Podcast on Twitch. You can go to infectionpodcast.com to find out when. And this podcast is about gaming, survival games, gaming news, with a little bit of political points here and there. So just go to infectionpodcast.com to see when the next one is, and or just download the last one. But it's a weekly thing. And again, thank you for joining us, and we'll be back together next week.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.